Okay, welcome back to the Founders Table. Today I'm joined by George Ballew, Senior Vice President at the University of Virginia Community Credit Union, where he leads in the realm of mortgage banking. George, your career in mortgage banking, I personally believe, is a testament to leadership through both stability and change. From CEO roles to mortgage leadership across multiple organizations to now leading at UVA Community Credit Union, it seems like you've consistently built strong divisions and high-performing teams. And what stands out to me is how you've combined analytical and operational discipline with a people-first approach, which I think is super important. And I think that's what sets leaders apart in this industry. I know our audience is probably going to get a lot from your perspective on growth, leadership, and overall kind of what it takes to succeed in today's lending environment. So thank you for jumping on. My first question, just to kind of start with your background, is what first motivated you to build a career in like mortgage banking?
Okay, well, first of all, Tony, I want to thank you for having me on your show today. I really appreciate that, and then I can share, what I love doing every day. So I'm very blessed that I don't get to. I actually don't come to work every day. I get to come and do things that I love to do every day, and so I just. I don't get up and go to work. I get up and go play every day. And that's what I love about mortgage banking. What made me want to do mortgage banking? I'm probably like a lot of young folks back in my day that, didn't know really what I wanted to do for a career. And so, but one day I got involved in lending and not necessarily mortgage banking, but just lending. And I really loved it. And then I started researching about mortgage lending, and it really intrigued me. And so I said, and then looking at different people and what they did, friends, uh, fathers actually, or not a whole lot of ladies at that time as far as mortgage loan officers. But let me tell you, they do a lot better job sometimes than the males do. They're more detail oriented. A lot of times you'll find them in the operations parts because they are just great at it. But now you'll see a lot more in the origination side. But when I got into mortgage lending, I and saw that, I said, I really wanted to get into mortgage lending. So I called a friend of mine, one of my dad's friends, and I said, "Hey, how can I get into being a mortgage loan officer?" And he, of course, he's one that he doesn't like competition, so he wasn't real open with me. And so I kind of just said, you know what, I need to learn on my own. So I went to work for a bank, and they wanted to start a mortgage area. And at the time, all they did was portfolio lending, and they had 20% down loans, mortgages. They had ARM loans, adjustable rate mortgages, and so they wanted to start a mortgage department, and they didn't know what to call it, so they called it a fixed rate mortgage department. And yeah, and they wanted to. It was a community bank, small community bank, and so then they decided, well, we want to lend more than 80%, but we don't want to keep them on our books. So, and we want them to be fixed. So that's kind of how they came up with fixed rate mortgage department. And we started lending up to 95% with PMI, or private mortgage insurance. And then it just expanded from there and grew to, I stayed there for over 13 years, and it grew to where we ended up actually calling it the mortgage division. Kind of got rid of fixed rate mortgage department. So, but that's kind of how I got into it. I kind of fell into it, but I love it. So
Very
I think it
cool.
was destined.
Very cool. So I guess I have a question off of that is, how would you, I guess, how would your earlier roles across the different, mortgage divisions, do you think, how did that prepare you for your current leadership and what you're doing right now at UVA?
Well, that's a great question, really, because when I started, I was the only employee of the fixed rate mortgage department. So I originated the loans. I actually processed my own loans. I had to close my own loans, fund them, and do the post closing. So it gave me an opportunity. Really, that wasn't a bad thing to do everything in the process. And so, as I did that, as the business continued to grow within the bank, and as the customers of the bank um, uh, continued to complain to the bank people because they were used to the good old boy handshakes. Hey, make my mortgage loan to get them done. They were done in 2 weeks. These loans take a little bit more time. And back then, time with getting Fannie Freddie loans, it was normal to take 45 or 60 days. Today it's not, but back then it was. And so uh, it just took more time, but it gave me an opportunity to learn everything. So bringing all of just fast forwarding all the way to today, it gave me an opportunity to see and to look at the whole operation and seeing, okay, where do we need to be? What leaders do I need to put into place, or what is already in place? So when I came here to UVA Credit Union, Community Credit Union, we had a director of mortgage services and a at the time operations manager, and two top-notch people that I was very, very fortunate to have. And we just expanded from there. And uh, their ways were a little different of doing things as far as what they called the different process. I didn't change it because I felt like, well, they're used to it. Let's just go with it. And then one day when we change our LOS, our loan operating system, we may change the verbiage and get back into the real uh, mortgage vocabulary. So.
Okay. And so I guess touching on UVA, for people who may not know UVA Community Credit Union, can you share what your team focuses on and who you ideally serve?
Yes, well, a credit union serves members. So we have members, kind of like what a bank would have stockholders, and they have customers. Well, our members are actually our bosses. So we have a board. They're a volunteer board. So we have a board of directors, and of course we have our executive leadership team, senior leadership teams, and managers, and so on. But we service our members. So you have to be a member of the credit union. To be a member, you have to live with. We're a community credit union, so you have to live within the communities that we serve.
Mm,
So, for example, UVA Community Credit Union, we service 20 counties, and it sounds small, but 5 cities. So when we go and we look to see how do we want to grow? So we're a state charter credit union, which means we can only serve in the state of Virginia, but we can only serve the membership areas that the state of Virginia that allows us to serve with what we've applied for to serve. So if we want to grow and we want to serve another county or city, we have to apply through through the state and through the NCUA, the National Credit Union Administration, to see if they will allow us to spread out and serve. Because like banks, we don't want to overpopulate that area with a bunch of credit unions
of course.
more. So we serve our members, and you have to be a member to have an account here. You have to be a member to get a loan at the credit union.
Okay.
Uh, so
So one thing I'd love to know then too is, would you mind sharing maybe like a recent win that you guys like have like internally, externally, whether in like growth or how your operations, team success, something that you're particularly proud of?
yes, well, yeah, I'm very proud of our team at the within the mortgage division. Let me share this. The past 3 years since we had COVID, everybody had to deal with that throughout the whole nation and the world, actually. But keeping it to the U.S. And then after COVID, COVID, the Fed brought the rates way down. You could go out and get a 15-year loan for almost 1%. You could get a 30-year loan for almost 2%.
Mhm.
I've got a rate now that I'll never see again. I really believe we'll never see that again. But so the win that I'm talking about is and that really wasn't very good seeing that the rates were that low, because what happened was a lot of people refinanced, a lot of people purchased, a lot of investors purchased investment properties, but then we were real short, and we still are very short in inventory. And builders can't build enough, tract builders can't build enough to replace the inventory that we don't have.
Mm.
And so it'll take a long time to ever get our inventory back in shape. So it's hurt first time home buyers. It's hurt people that want to buy the second time. And it's also hurt people that want to sell their properties because they don't know, am I going to sell my property and end up buying something smaller that's going to cost me more than what I currently have?
Right.
And so, but what we've been able to do here, because we do portfolio lending as well as lend to the GSE, Fannie, Freddie, and as well as doing government lending, FHA, VA, USDA. But our sales team, we have actually been able to exceed our goals through the last 3 years of mortgage lending. So even though it's been very tough, with the products that we have, with the rates that we've been able to have with our portfolios and with our investors, we are now we can now sell directly to Freddie Mac. Okay. And we're going to service those loans. So, which basically what that allows us to do is retain our members. So instead of selling the loan and the servicing to another investor, we can now sell the paper to Freddie, but we retain the servicing. So our members make the payments to the credit union, which means we still have that relationship with the members. Gotcha. On their mortgage. And that's a catalyst for other services that we can give to our members. So I'm proud of our team, and that's a big win. It's a big win.
Very cool. Congrats on that. That does sound like a huge win. So one thing I'm curious, because I'm sure there's there can be a lot of growth and challenges in like the mortgage department, especially. So given that the mortgage space is constantly changing, are there any strategies that have been most effective for you guys as far as maybe driving growth or just adapting to just industry challenges?
Well, the growth, I think with us, the growth has been a major factor for us, but the industry challenges have been on our plate as well. So we look at several different things when we're looking at what is our strategy going to be for the next year. Right now we're in budget season, so we're looking at what do we need to have. So it's a need versus a want. Some of the wants that we had last year or this year, we're not going to have for next year in our budget. Some of the things that we need that we don't currently have for this year, we'll have those in our budget for next year. So those are, and it depends on what is our strategy going to be for next year. So of course, you hear everyone's going, whether it's mortgage industry, banking, whether it's a different type of business. AI is the big thing now. How can you do something with less people, more efficiently, and still grow your business and make a profit? Now, credit unions are not for profit. They're not a nonprofit. They're a not for profit. And so, you still have to pay the bills, you still have to pay your staff. And staffing with any business is, in most businesses, I should say, that's your biggest expense is your staffing. And so your people. And today, if you look at the jobs numbers, and there's still jobs that are available, even though it's a lot smaller than it used to be. So you need to keep your people happy in order to make sure that you can retain the people you want to retain, because it costs you a lot more money to go out, hire a new person, train them, or to go out and cherry pick a person that is got a lot of experience than it does to have someone in your already in your charge that you have on board that does an excellent job. Than it does. So it's better to make them happy as it is than to go out and try to find somebody else,
Right.
Because it's usually going to end up costing you a lot more money.
100% agree with you. Yeah, because I think that's a lot of maybe people who are starting businesses or running careers don't necessarily realize a lot of time is there's a big budget in hiring. There's a lot of people don't realize it's not just going to go ask your friend, hey, can you come work for my company? There's a whole process behind it. So I'd love to go into the team aspect now. I mean, success is obviously driven by people. How important for you has been building the right team contributed to your success?
Well, that's a very, very good question. It is a very important part. Anytime, whether I work here at the credit union, whether it's been in the past when I've worked at other regional places or smaller community banks or mortgage companies, building a team is an ingredient, and it is important that you have the right team members, whether it's in leadership. You want to have the right leaders involved, or if it's the right sales manager you need, or someone that is actually, that's in your operations team doing the work, whether it's a processor or closer, post closer. You need the right people, and in order to get those people on board, love what they're doing, hopefully, and do it efficiently, you got to make sure you have the right leaders in place that they don't have to specialize in everything. They don't have to know processing and closing and post-closing. They need to know what they do the best. So an operations manager needs to know some about processing and closing and post-closing, but they don't need to be an expert in everything. So but what I've got on board now here at the credit union, I've got a director of mortgage operations that pretty much knows a lot of the processing and the closing. And so she does a very, very, very good job in coaching the people she has now and the people that she hires. And then you've got our closing manager, or she's now the operations manager, and so she does a great job. So you have those leaders that you bring on, and they are the leaders that a leader is someone that doesn't say, that's not my job. That's somebody that pitches in regardless. Mm-hmm. So director of mortgage services, he takes care of our LOS, POS, because we don't have someone we can go out and hire and pay $150,000 to take care of our POS, LOS. So when you put together your team and your leadership team, you want to make sure that they can do the things you need to have done. You need to make sure that they fit the culture that you want to have. Culture is very important. I think it's even more important than mortgage business, because if you don't have the right culture, then you have a lot of friction. And in the mortgage business, if you have friction, then people aren't working towards the same goal. And the goal is to serve, whether it's your borrower or your member or your customer, whichever, credit union, bank, independent mortgage company. The culture is very important. We have worked hard to build the culture here within our mortgage division and the credit union, that everybody works towards the same thing. And the same goal is to serve our member and give them the experience of a lifetime. And wow that member. So that's what we've been able to do here. And if you do that, then the business will come naturally, will come to you, because they're going to tell everybody, members or non-members, and
Right.
you'll get the business.
I love them, and that actually led in. You answered one of my other questions, which was talking about vision, getting people aligned with like the community credit's vision. But one thing I am curious about, so, and I could be wrong on this, please correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like hiring in financial services can typically be competitive. Do you guys face challenges with like turnover of churn within like certain roles, or how do you ensure continuity with like filling roles, or I guess people keeping people happy in their roles now? Are people leaving a lot? Is hiring competitive in financial? Am I right or wrong on that?
You No, Tony, you hit it right on the head. It is very competitive. Um, People, let me tell you about banks, credit unions. Banks and credit unions, a financial institution seems to draw people to them, meaning that, so we've got a kind of an advantage, meaning that people they want to come to work for a credit union or a bank. What I've learned about credit union, because 30 plus years of my career has been working for a bank.
Hmm.
Um, the last 6 years, a little bit over, has been working for a credit union. And so I love the credit union culture. I love what they stand for. But I can't say I didn't love working for a bank as well. But the culture of the credit union, and the way that they treat their members, and the way that they draw in people that want to work for a credit union. So that's one advantage that we have, in when you have a mortgage department or mortgage division within a bank or credit union, is that you've got people that will still competitive, but you don't have to pay the big bucks to get them.
Hmm.
Now, does it mean that's not competitive? It is competitive, but you can. It's a little bit more manageable when it comes to compensation. Um, the um, the other thing that we have to do is that, but people do look at culture. They want to know, are you going, am I going to be working for someone that appreciates me? Am I going to be working for someone that has my best interest as far as education? We belong to the Mortgage Bankers Association, and we pay for an education package they have, and we allow our the whole credit union actually, but also our employees of the mortgage area, they can take whatever class they want, and it doesn't cost them a thing. And they can get a designation if they want to. It doesn't cost them anything. So we provide that education opportunity. Plus, if they want to go to a college or a community college, the credit union also provides them funds to do that.
Okay.
So that is a plus. That's kind of over the independent mortgage banker, with a bank and a credit union. So those things kind of help. And so we have a little bit of, we have some ways of attracting people with not just money, it's other benefits as well.
Okay. Very cool. That was actually one of my questions too, is talking about strategies that help you attract and retain the right people. And I
Mhm.
love that because I think a lot of people only look at it just from finances, and there's a lot more that people can benefit from that isn't directly related to finances. For example, how you guys use your strategies. So one question I do have is, has there been like a, because since it's so competitive, Have you noticed any like bottlenecks when it's come to like building a team that can grow with the business? Anything that you guys have are like currently working as like a bottleneck or have figured out before that was a bottleneck when it comes to like growing teams?
And are you speaking of how the business flows as far as loan business, or are you talking about people?
People,
Uh,
when it comes to like building the right team, any bottlenecks you guys have like
okay.
experienced?
Well, there can be, and I think one of the things that can cause a bottleneck is when you are your sales team versus your operations team. So you got to watch how much you hire in the sales part of it, because if your sales team is really producing a lot of loans, and you've got an operations team that can handle, just say they can handle 50 100 loans a month in closings, but you've got a sales team out there and they're doing 300 new originations a month,
Hmm.
then you got a problem, because those 300 probably are going to turn into, well, let's just say 150 pull through. So you get 300 originations, you have 150 applications, 50%, and you've got an operations team that can only do 100 a month. Then you got a bottleneck problem. Now, you can offset that by having, which is something that we do. You can offset it by having an outside contracting uh, source,
Hmm.
and that's something that we've done primarily with underwriting. So you can if it's a conforming loan like through Fannie Freddie, you can get an outside company to help you underwrite that when the business, like during a refinance boom,
Right.
where you can get them to help you underwrite, whether it's a PMI company, they do that, or whether it's a an outside contracting company that says, hey, if you're over and you can't handle the business with your own underwriters, we will help you for a fee, of course,
Of course.
uh, but it's worth doing that so you save your reputation. Because
Right.
if you're not handling all the loans you have coming in, your reputation will go down very fast.
Very
Uh,
good point.
yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
very good point. I love that. Okay, so final couple questions.
Mhm.
Looking ahead. So as we look into like 2026, which is insane to talk about that we're September of 2025 at this point.
Right.
We have people that were born in 2000 that are 25 at this point, which is it's crazy for me to think about.
Right.
What's the top priority for the mortgage division at UVA going into 2026?
Our top priority right now is, one of the top priorities is we are going to start looking for a new LOS.
Hmm.
The biggest priority for the whole credit union is that we are changing our core, which is a doesn't affect mortgages much. It affects the whole credit union. So core is, what everything goes to: new accounts, other types of loans, um, you know, uh, accounting, all. I mean, there's just so much. There's a lot of it. But if you said that to any banker or any other credit union, or they would they would know that is a big deal. And
Hmm.
so that is a big deal here. And this just didn't start now. It's They've been working on this for, I'm sure, at least 2 years, just figuring out what they're going to do. They've had demos, and they decided on what the company are going with, and then now we're deciding, okay, what are we going to do with this company, when we're going to start, and then also we're moving into a new headquarters, and so we've got that for the middle of next year. So we're going to be moving to a new headquarters. So which not everybody will, but we will be part of that as well. So there's
Hmm.
a lot of things. Now, as far as mortgage goes, we will be we'll have a couple of new products that we're going to introduce. and but we're going to be mainly just um, looking to be to continue to grow, be more efficient. We opened well, matter of fact, we've opened a new branch now
Very cool.
in the market. It's a new expansion. We call it the expansion market, but it'll be our first branch in that expansion market. But we have members that live there. I live there, and then travel over to Charlottesville, Virginia, which is where I'm at right now. So I travel here to work, but I'll be able to work over there if I need to. But with technology today and the laptop, I mean, if the weather's bad, because I have to cross a mountain, so if the
Okay.
weather's bad, I can just work from home, or I could go to the branch there that's only 25 miles, and I could work from there if I needed to. So there's a lot of things. But again, it's I'm lucky. I go have fun every day. So.
That's awesome, man. So I guess what a good question to wrap this up with is for other leaders in lending, maybe people who want to build something lasting, what's a couple pieces of advice you'd share to them?
Well, I first of all, I would make sure that whatever kind of lending you want to get into, um, or not, make sure that whatever you decide is something that you really, really want to do. Because if your heart's not into it, then you're just not going to be successful. I just don't think. I mean, you really need to be engaged. You need to, if you want to be a leader, you really need to want to see your team or your teammates or your staff. You want to see them succeed more than you want to succeed. Because when it comes down to the end of the day, the bottom line is if your staff, if they're succeeding with what they do, then you're going to succeed. If they're meeting their goals, you're going to meet your goals. So you need to coach, mentor them, and that's if you're an SVP or a VP, if you coach your people, your leaders to succeed, they're going to coach their team to succeed, and then everyone will see that, and they'll know that they're important, and they're going to work extra hard to make sure that the whole team succeeds. So that's one thing, but you've got to make sure that you are really, really engaged in what you want to do in lending or in leadership or in maybe something else that's not even lending. But whatever you decide to do, make sure that you really want to do that and your heart's into it, and then put the effort into it, and ask questions. But my dad told me a long time ago, the only dumb question is the one that you didn't ask.
Hmm.
So.
Love that. So okay, so let's close this out. What would you want to give, I guess, to people watching for UVA websites, social media, things like that? Anything you want to mention on here?
Well, I mean, we have over 80 some thousand members. UVA's was formed in around 1954, I believe,
Wow.
and by physicians, because UVA, the University of Virginia, is a of course a major university. Plus, they also are there's University of Virginia Hospital, and they're a teaching hospital as well. So, and I don't know if everybody remembers this, but UVA basketball won the national championship a few years ago,
Mhm.
and so I just say that look at our site, go on the internet and look up UVA Community Credit Union, and you'll see a lot of different. We do commercial loans, we do business loans, we do direct, indirect on auto loans. We have home equity. I mean, there's just a number of different things. If anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm more than happy to talk to you at any time. And you can find me on our UVA site, or you're welcome to go to LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, and look up George Ballew. So, and I'll be glad to respond to you. I check it. I get notices all the time, so I usually check it.
I was gonna say
So,
that's how we connected, was on LinkedIn.
yeah, yeah. I do look at mine. So,
Love that. Well, George, thank you again for joining me. This has been incredible conversation. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future conversations here at the Founders Table. George, thank you again.
sure.